Welcome back to IGN Live from Gamescom. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my most anticipated games of the year. Here to tell us more about it is game director Scott Phillips. Scott, thank you for coming by the IGN stage.
Yeah, super happy to be here.
So you guys had your big reveal E3 a couple months ago.
Yes.
Going back to ancient Greece this time. 2 playable characters,
Yes.
male and female. What are you guys showing off here at Gamescom this week?
So at Gamescom, we're showing sort of a very end game, your level 50, which is the max cap, your legendary gear. You've got everything is fully upgraded, and we wanted to get into sort of how are we dealing with the lore of ancient Greece and the mythology of ancient Greece, because it's a super rich historical setting, but it's also very rich with the gods and legends, and that sort of stuff is tied deeply into Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed lore. And so we wanted to get into how are we going to represent that? And as we'll see here later, it's tied in very well, and I think it works for both the end game and for how we tie into Assassin's Creed and how we tie into ancient Greece.
Is this our ship? Is it the Adrestria?
Adrestia, yes.
Adrestia, sorry.
Yeah, so you've got your captain there, Barnabas, you've got your ship, you've got your crew that you can customize. The ship is sort of had some customization, some upgrade options, which can be to make it stronger in battle, and also just to give you a different sort of look at the front of it, and the style of the sail and all those sorts of things.
And which character are we playing as here?
This looks like Cassandra.
Okay.
So we're playing as the female character Cassandra. We've got a legendary set of gear, so you're really, really geared up and looking like an awesome warrior, an ancient Greek warrior.
So we don't start out looking like this?
No. This is after many, many hours. This is after beating the main story of the game and moving on to sort of all of the end game challenging content that's going to keep you playing for the more than 100 hours.
Well, speaking of the end game content and continual play, I don't know if we're going to see this in the demo here, but Mercenaries are in the game, right? That's sort of intended as infinitely replayable challenges.
Yeah. We have some of them that are handcrafted and specific, like we give them specific backstories and weapons and styles. But then there's also just a bulk of them that are generated out of pools of names and backstories and gear sets, and some might have animal pets that come with them, a bear or a lion or whatever. So they're constantly challenging you, and they're sort of also in a way you can picture them as the police system of the game. So we wanted the world to react to your actions, because you're not following an Assassin's Creed in that you're able to do what you want. You're able to kill civilians if you want, but we're going to have the world react to you. Yeah, there's consequences to those choices.
So you're a bad boy, you're a bad girl. Mercenaries might come hunting after you. But what if you want to do some hunting yourself? How do you sort of activate that?
So you can find them. You'll find them all living throughout the world, because they have their own agendas, their own schedules. They travel the world. They take on their own contracts. You'll meet them. So you sometimes may meet a mercenary that's way, way out of your level. But you'll remember them. You may remember that they have a certain piece of gear or something that you want to go get from them. And you're going to be able to find them in the world, sort of set up not necessarily a trap, but a way to, okay, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get them to come to me, and then I'm going to assassinate them, and I'm going to attack them in this way. Maybe they're weak to ranged attacks, so I'm going to use more ranged. So it's a lot about setting up sort of how you want to approach them, and then going at them.
So already in the short time we've been watching this demo, we've seen a large variety of terrain, going from the ocean, walking through the city, and now we're in sort of like a haunted forest almost.
Sort of the ruins of an old ancient civilization, and you're seeing some of these hints here of what's going on.
So these people appear to be turned to stone.
That is what it appears to be. Yes,
a mythical Greek creature that turns people to stone.
So I mean, we want to tap into our setting fully. We want it to be ancient Greece as the ancient Greeks pictured their world. Like these things, the gods and all that, were real for them, and these mythologies were real. But we want to obviously tie it into Assassin's Creed and to our lore, which I think is great, because we have this history of sort of conspiracies of, all these organizations, the Illuminati, they exist, and so for us, it ties in nicely with that trend throughout Assassin's Creed and gives us access to these great fights and great boss battles, which we'll get into here later. But it's also tied into, there's a narrative, there's a story that leads you to it, there's several quests that lead to it, so it's contextualized and fits into the world.
Was it significant that this is happening outside of the main story then? Like, or did you keep that sort of more fantastical element outside of the main story?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's introduced in the main story, but then it's sort of your choice of how deep you go into that, which is, sort of typical for Assassin's Creed, where it's the main story can tend to be a little more grounded, but then as you sort of go on the periphery, things get more and more deep into the first Civ, which allows us to go bigger, essentially.
So you're not going for complete total historical accuracy, but usually with Assassin's Creed games, there is a lot of usually do go to great pains to depict certain things with
with huge authenticity.
Yeah,
like
and you've done that as well here.
Yeah, that's the main word for us is authenticity. We wanted to sort of pass a sniff test of like, it seems believable. I could see that as actually existing. So for something like buildings, we go super, super deep into how did they actually build them. For mythology, we go into, okay, what did they think this was? How did they picture it in the world? And then we sort of, put our twist on it as well. So it's always a challenging balance to give players access to these bigger things, but also keep the world itself grounded and in the day-to-day, ancient Greek, how people lived. We do a lot of research. We visited Greece. We had a historian on staff that was challenging us on everything. But then it's also, we realize that we give the player these amazing gear sets, these amazing weapons.
Yeah.
You've got weapons that are on fire and all these awesome things. Well, you want to test those out, and so we give you these things at the end game when you're going to push even farther.
I see. Yeah, speaking of these weapons, there's ghost arrows now, right? Where you can actually shoot through walls.
Yes, that's an ability you can purchase, and it can go through multiple enemies. It can go through walls. There's a lot of these skills that give you access to really cool, very powerful abilities, and then we challenge you with bosses like this, where it's you think you're super powerful, but you're going to be facing off against bosses who are even more powerful than you.
For the historical context, are you planning a discovery tour mode like in Assassin's Creed Origins?
We'll talk about that post-launch and whether we're going to do that or not.
Okay.
But we have within the game, we've done some stuff where locations you discover, we've had our historian write facts about them. So you can sort of like in the past, we've had this Animus database. And we allow you to go in and learn about these places that you visit as well. So you can dig into the Parthenon.
Well, here we are at a boss fight then, and obviously it's with Medusa.
Yes.
So tell us about sort of your version of Medusa.
So in our world, there are these ancient artifacts. There are these first civilization artifacts, and they are guardian devices. They protect these first civilization sites, such as this. And it can corrupt human beings, regular human beings. It corrupts them into this defense mechanism, which is Medusa in this case. And you're sort of a special character. You have this close first civilization DNA. You have the Spear of Leonidas, which is an artifact. So you're able to sort of fight against them. Whereas a normal human just gets turned to stone. You're slowed down and you're damaged by it, but you're not necessarily killed by it. And so she's pretty tough.
Yeah.
She's got, obviously the stone gaze where she can freeze people. She has these stone soldiers that fight with her as well. So we try to tap into what is that mythology about, and how can we also then make it a really challenging fight for the player. So it challenges you not just in melee, but in ranged. So it's a really, really fun fight. And you're going to have to, I think a lot of players will get here at a level that's probably too low, and then have to come back and face her and really feel that goal of like, oh man, yes, I really want to get to fight her. And then when you get to her, you're going to feel great for finally defeating her.
But can you not encounter her until you've completed the main story?
No, you can go at any time. The quests are just very high level, so it's sort of a side story that I don't want to delve into much, but we reveal it, and then there's multiple of these things that you need to accomplish something. You need to go out and find these artifacts, which involves searching down the mythology of certain areas, and then you come to realize, oh, wow, okay, this thing is actually real, and I'm going to need to face off against one of these crazy first civilization bosses.
Yeah, are we doing like hundreds of thousands of hit points
of damage?
Yeah, damage.
Yeah. So at the end of the game, you are really doing a lot of damage.
Do you still have? Are there still shields in the combat system?
There are shields for the NPCs, but you as the player, we wanted to focus it much more on being active and aggressive and agile. So it's mainly about dodging and then about parrying, so blocking attacks and then getting back in there and striking again. But we didn't want the player to sort of hide or stay behind the shield. We wanted you to be out there and be active. And you've got a bunch of weapons that support that playstyle as well. You can customize those weapons with engraving, so put certain perks on them and make them better at earning adrenaline, so you can use more abilities, or they have fire on them, or they can knock out enemies, things like that. So it's a lot about choosing to play the way that you want to play and customizing your gear to do that.
So I'm just wondering from a gameplay standpoint, to avoid her stone gaze here, you don't have a shield to block it. You just have to duck behind one of these columns.
Exactly. You need to hide. Yeah, initially we had done a lot of thinking of like, okay, how do we, is it all a ranged battle and the second you look at her, you're dead? And we didn't want to, we wanted to challenge the things that the player had built up over the course of the game and the skills that they've learned in the play style, and not just sort of make it a one-off, oh, you have to QTE this boss, and none of the skills that you've earned up to this point are worth it. We wanted it to be, no, this is a real challenge with all the same core fight that you've been using the rest of the game, so you're going to feel that those 100 hours that you've put into the game learning how to do the fight the best you can, you're going to feel that you accomplish something by using all those abilities, like something like that, where it's the shock blast just sends all those enemies. Like, that's an ability that you can upgrade over the course of the game, and when you figure out how and when to use it, like when you're surrounded by enemies, it's like that's one of the best moments of the game, when you find the ability and the right moment in the combat to apply that ability. It's awesome.
Do you think the combat will feel familiar to people who played Origins?
Absolutely. Yeah, the core of the fight is the same sort of redesigned fight that Assassin's Creed Origins had, with the weapons and the pacing and the lock-on movement and your positioning matter to the fight. And then as we move forward and you get more abilities, you mix them in, essentially. So you build up, with the core fight, you build up adrenaline, which you then spend on abilities. So it's sort of a combat economy of earning it and then spending it and then earning it back up again. So it's always mixing in that fight. It's going to feel like Origins improved and then expanded with abilities as well.
So we're like, Assassin's Creed is a long-running franchise, and we're in full RPG territory now.
Yes.
Why do you think now is the right time for Assassin's Creed to really lean into the RPG genre?
Well, I think Assassin's Creed Origins took the first sort of steps in that way, and then for us and for me, making an RPG was something we wanted to do right from the beginning. Just on this moment here, like, this is you've found the artifact, and it's a classic. I think Assassin's Creed fans will recognize what that is. It's an Apple of Eden, and it's an first Civ device that had turned that person into Medusa. So Medusa was a perpetual myth. It was always coming back. And even if it was defeated in the past by a Greek hero, it came back to life. But yeah, RPG is, we really wanted to make an RPG, and we felt like what Origins did, we were able to go even further and make it a full-on RPG with choice and dialogue choice and consequence and options within the combat and all that stuff to really make it a true RPG.
Is it true you have 30 hours of cutscenes in your game?
Well, 30 hours of interactive dialogues is generally what we said. So it's not the cutscenes. We have much fewer than a typical Assassin's Creed in terms of like non-interactive. So we wanted to put the focus fully on interactive, making you make choices and then live with the consequences of those choices, which is not something that Assassin's Creed has really done before.
Yeah. And you've got more branching narratives built into the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So every little choice, the big choices as well, will have an impact on the game. And since your story is about reuniting your family, how that ends up is really up to you, and whether it's a Greek tragedy or a really happy family at the end of the game.
Well, I'm super excited to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It is out October 6th.
October 5th.
October 5th. Scott, thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. So much more to come from Gamescom 2018 right here on IGN Live after this.